Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now from deep in the darkest forests of northern Minnesota, the show you've waited for. This is Grizzly's Growl. And I am honored to present our host, the man, the mystery, the legend. This is Grizzly.
Hello there, my name is David Grizzly Smith, Grizzly Soapsmith in Second Life, and I'm going to try something which is probably a crazy idea. I'm going to try live streaming from Second Life, and mainly because nobody does it. Probably not much interest. It's old technology, and there are various reasons why people try it and don't get Second Life, and I'm going to try to address some of those, if I remember to, when we get into the stream here. Excuse the mess, but hey, I'm kind of a geek, and this is what my room looks like. So, anyway, let us go to this, and we'll see how it works out. There we are. There I am in Second Life. That's me right there. See if I can zoom in on me. You can see me way down there. Zoom in on my face. That's me right there. Dashing young fellow. Looks exactly like me, doesn't he? Anyway, I'm overdressed for this, but, you know, it's my DJing outfit when I used to be able to DJ in Second Life. The place I was DJing went out of business, so I don't get to DJ anymore. So I kind of ride around in my tour vehicles. I have quite a number of them in a couple of different places in Second Life. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a ride. Let me hop in my vehicle here. Don't need that. That might be handy to have. The idea being that we're going to take a look at something. We're going to experience something that maybe people don't get about Second Life. There are a number of people out there who will tell you all kinds of strange and wonderful and truly awful things about Second Life, including the things that Second Life is all about. And it isn't all about those things. But, you know, the people that say that, I understand why. Yeah. The reason that they say that, a lot of them, is because they are, after all, tech pundits. Pundits have the sterling quality of, well, their whole business is convincing you that they have something important to tell you that you really, really gotta know. And of course, if they wanted to tell you something that you really gotta know, they gotta tell you something that you don't already know, which means they are not going to talk to you about old stuff. And Second Life, remarkably enough, is over 14 years old now. I actually performed four times, excuse me, at the Second Life 14th birthday party event, SL14B. Twice as a DJ, twice I sang. And no, I'm not going to sing today. But, yeah, it's been around for 14 years, and for the last 10 years we've been told that it has already failed, and it's just a matter of time before it all vanishes. There are a couple of reasons that, well, it's not getting bigger. Not exactly getting smaller either. It's got the GDP, I read in an article the other day, the GDP of Second Life is larger than some countries. This is how you define a failure. I don't know. It's one thing that you got to be aware of about Second Life is that it's bigger than you think it is. If you come into Second Life, you go to the, oh, that's kind of loud. You go to the training spaces they put you in, a couple of sims they've got specifically for that, to show you how things work, how you move around in Second Life, and so on. And you see these little sims, and they're relatively straightforward and simple, as they ought to be, because they're for training. You know, they're intended to be unintimidating. And you get a viewer. I use Firestorm, which is one of the more popular viewers. There are still people that use the generic, provided by the company Second Life viewer, which is lovely, but Firestorm has a lot more capabilities, and I've been using variation. It's gone through a couple of different iterations under different names, and I started using, what was the first one? Honestly, I can't remember. I can't remember, honestly. But I used the first one, the name which escapes me. Then I used Phoenix. And then it metamorphed into Firestorm. And this is the 64-bit version there. But the thing is that you get your viewer, and up when you're first logging into the viewer, you see a couple of links. One's for events and one's for destinations. And events are things that people, particular events, usually like from clubs and that sort of thing, where they specifically want and see what they're having going that day. Or clubs and other art venues and that sort of thing that want you to come and see that particular thing that they have. Okay, their build, their place that they have constructed. And from time to time, my places have been part of the destinations list. The thing about destinations, though, is that it gives you the impression that that's all there is. They're just single, tiny little places that you go. And once you've gone to the first dozen or so, you've pretty much seen everything there is to see, and you might as well quit and go home and go do something useful. And that gives you a completely wrong impression of Second Life, because it in fact is rather large. This is a gondola that I built for myself in Second Life. That little platform in the background, in the back there, you can actually have a guy standing back there with an oar rowing. And I didn't feel like doing that today. But relatively simple. Not a really good build, but then again, not really a good builder. Pretty good with scripts, pretty good with making things work the way I want them to work, but not so much good on building things that look like actual things. This is basically when I was built. I originally built a gondola with the idea of just tours around our little private sim we used to have, and we don't have that anymore. But over the months and years, I have basically added features and things that it does, and now it can fly. And I didn't want it, because this is a programmed vehicle, it basically just follows a given route that I've provided. It had a bad habit of running into things and getting stuck, and I didn't want it to get stuck. I wanted to be able to find a way around stuff, so I scripted some stuff in for that. And then, well, okay, sometimes everyone's getting around stuff, sometimes it goes over it, which means it's flying. Well, gondolas, you may have noticed in the real world, generally don't fly. So I had to create something realistic, he says with finger quotes, that would have a gondola flying. So, of course, it has this energy field around it, which causes it to fly. Possibly something we captured from the aliens. Might involve static electricity, for all I know. But, in any case, it does fly. And that's why I have the windshield, because when you're flying, you know, there could be bugs. And occasional bird hits, for that matter. I had one the other day. So you got to have a windshield when you're doing that. Now, one thing in the nature of Second Life, you'll notice the thing stops from time to time. Way back in history, when they were first originally building Second Life, they started out with relatively small sims. They got it up to about, probably, 256 meters by 256 meters by 256 meters high. And they could have tried to push and push and push and get bigger and bigger and bigger sims, and they decided instead to say, well, we got pretty good reliability on 256 by 256. Let's just stick with that. We want more land, we just stick on another sim, or more sims. And eventually they ended up with a whole heck of a lot of sims stuck together. And then they ended up with another clump of a whole lot of sims stuck together. Continents. Right now we're going from the second created continent, called the Atoll, or Heterocera. From there, south across the ANWR channel to the first created continent, which used to be called the mainland, because that's what it was. The first patch of a bunch of sims stuck together. And now it's sometimes called Sansara, sometimes it's not called much of anything, because people don't actually know there is such a thing as a continent. They just go to the destinations, most of which are on private sims, by the way. So that, by the way, that well we're flying by. Let me see if I can cam over there and let you look at that. Let me stop for a minute. Feature of my own. That is the well from which all of the prims, everything in Second Life is made out of prims of varying kinds. And all of the prims in Second Life come from this one well. Hard to believe, I know. But somehow they pump them out of the virtual ground, little virtual prims. And then you saw the pipe. I ran into the pipe, actually, with my gondola earlier. And that is pipe goes to the goes to the mainland, and those prims are used to build stuff. And possibly that's all made up, of course, too. That could be. Anyway, so here we are traveling over a large, vast area of open water, relatively vast anyway. And how long have we been going? I actually can't even tell. Is there a time thing on this thing? I can't see one. Anyway, just to give you an idea, we've already gone through 6 different sims. We're in the 6th of our sims so far. And 7 now. Anyway, when they were designing the whole thing with the multiple sims, the upside is that you can, it's scalable. You know, you can just modularize and build another